Dagobert from Dagobert Stackworld here for this weekend, the 4th and 5th of September 2021. Just going to give you guys a bit of fishing report and update for this weekend. So, firstly, the weather. Before we go anywhere, the weather's important. It's average, guys. Like tomorrow morning, you may get offshore. There's a little bit of swell running, and there's obviously going to be a little bit of wind. It's sort of not too bad. It's not as bad as it has been the last 2 days. So we'll drop off to about 10 to 15 knots. And Sunday is similar. A bit of east tomorrow, and it'll swing around to a bit of north in the afternoon, and it'll be the same on Sunday with more north in the wind and running around that sort of 15 knots. It might go up to 20 in the afternoon, but I think it's sort of 10 to 15 knots. But I wouldn't go too wide, I don't think. There will definitely be, if those guys fishing on the offshore area, we'll start there first. I'd definitely say go and chase some snapper in close if you can get the weather. Be careful of the bar. On the run-out tide later in the day or late mid-morning. It'll be high tide to go out early in the morning though, and they'll just start trickling out just on daylight, I'd say. But yeah, there's been plenty of snapper in close. A few jewies around still on live baits. Haven't had much in the way of cobia. Plenty of trade jew, plenty of nice parrotfish, and lots of tailor, as always. The guys fishing out 36s went there last weekend myself. Heaps of trade, a few small snapper. It's a nice parrotfish, and it was pretty good fishing actually. We were just using this sort of paternoster type things. I think we've talked about these before, but if you just run 2 single hooks or three lots of hooks on a paternoster, and then run one of this type of thing here, you will get, I pretty well guarantee, you get more fish on that rig with the 3 hooks and that sort of fishtail stuff, fish hair. Compared to the one without that type of material on your hooks. Just try it, see how you go. So just a paternoster, like 3 hooks in a row, half a pound of lead or whatever it is, 3/4, and then drop it down the bottom and with squid and pilchards on it, and then hang on. Plenty of bites. But anyhow, bottom fish is probably the go, float lining in close. I don't know if you get out wide unless you got a bit bigger boat. The current has been off and on. It's actually running harder in close during the week than it has been out wide. The boys fished out at 50 fathoms this week. Rossi from Just Magic Charters, or not Just Magic, it's called, what's it called these days? I've got the name of it. Lucky Strike, that's the word for it, Lucky Strike. Sorry guys, a bit of a blank mind there. But Lucky Strike Charters, Ross did really well. They just cleaned up. They got heaps of snapper, heaps of good pearlies. They got some Samson, they got amberjacks, they got jobfish, and an array of huge pigfish as well. Really good catch actually, and we'll be posting that on our link on Facebook a bit later tonight. But so the fishing was just all going off. He said they got around, I don't know, 50 or 60 fish for their clients on the charter. That was 50s northeast, so that's definitely maybe worth a go. And it's been good jigging up there at the moment as well. So jigging with sort of 200 to 300 gram jigs, long jigs, jigging for amberjacks and kingies. Give that a shot. Other than that, you could try casting behind the surf for Taylor, but just be careful of the waves. There's a bit of swell on, okay? So I probably wouldn't do that unless you're experienced. And that's probably it for offshore this week, and still lots of whales around. Be careful of the whales. The whales are migrating south at the moment, so I didn't actually see them go north this year. I know we had a lot of bad weather early in the year, mid-year, so perhaps that's when they went through and we all didn't see them, but they're definitely coming south. I know that. On the way back, they're heading that way. Anyhow, that's about it for offshore. Okay, estuaries, lots of flaties around. Went flathead fishing this week as well. Up to the pin with young Stewie. We've got about 20 flathead for the morning. Nothing really big, sort of around just under 60 was about the biggest. Maybe dropped a couple of good ones. But we were doing really well on prawn type lures and small lures and just slow lifting it. And we just got a whole heap of new stock in again. I've got a lot of the the sea type lures in, like that type of thing there, and the smaller size and chase baits, those little type fellows there, really good on the flats, and just slow lifting it and hopping it, and very, very good. Also got one of my favourite lures at the moment, which are the boom shads from Samaki. These things are made of the same sort of material as other brands like Z-Man, etc., stretchy type. These little things here matched up to a little TT head like so, just absolutely kick butt, whether it be in 4 meters of water, 6 meters of water, or just 40 centimeters of water. They work extremely good with just a little slow lift, slow roll. They are very, very good. Another lure we got in this week, lots of the whole range. There's like about 60 SKUs, 60 different models over there. The Samaki Vibes, they are really, really good as well. And there's a whole different range of sizes and colours and types. Just really good. So those sort of things, you just constantly keep in touch with the whole way. So it's a slow lift, but winding the slake up as you fall. So it's always on the weight, so it doesn't ever get caught up. You always get the weight of the lure on your line. And Ikuta shrimps, also another great thing, which is that type of thing there. When I use these guys, you can use them weedless, but I actually nick off that weedless hook and put on a jig head like that, or bigger, and just hop it, as I was saying before. They work extremely good. There's a whole array of colours in those too, and sizes. But definitely get into your flatties at the pin, and then the broadwater as well. Same scenario, guys. Any of the banks. This weekend's like the perfect tide, so you got high tide about 6:30 in the morning, 7 o'clock. You get down there early at the pin or the broadwater, fish up high on the banks, up the edge of the banks. That's where the flatties will be feeding on the edges on the high tide and chasing the bait fish. And then as the tide starts to drop, they'll drop off the shallows into like small drains, gutters, and on the edge of the banks, and try and find where the water's flowing off, and just sit there and pluck them off as they come off the banks in through the drain into the that's like natural sand drain. It's not a drain, and then into the channels, and you can get on the edge of channels as well, and always cast up current and hop it back. Okay, give that a shot. Other than that, plenty of whiting around. There's been good whiting around, or actually around the bedroom area, around Pandanus Island. Goldbank's been not too bad, both the south and east side of Goldbank. I'll be definitely trying on the western side of Klinger Bank as well. It wraps around and heads down towards the Slipping Sands, and maybe up the back blocks of Tykermale Channel as well, because this is the time of the year the whiting start to really kick in, as well as the flatties, of course, as we said, and a few bream around Crusoe Island as always. Down the Broadwater end of town, the whiting will be not too bad around the back of wave break, but the tides are a bit harder this weekend. You want that first rising tide, where this weekend's a high tide. So I'd probably do it maybe after lunch. I was going to fish there when that tide is low and first starts to come up onto the flats at the back of wave break, western side of wave break. I'd be trying along the edge of the banks, maybe late in the afternoon, that high tide and the run-out tide just after dark. Really good tide at the Narang River as well, around the old council chambers and the arts centre there at Bundle in the main river there. Need obviously beachworms or mudworms, and yabbies aren't too bad. Other than that, flatties around the seaway, around the rocks, on the wall, and heading down towards Kurrajee and further up towards the Aldershots has been really good as well. We get around Paradise Point. If you're land-based, I'd definitely be fishing around Lowe's Creek. It's at the entrance there on this high tide. They might be up on the flats there, both sides of the creek, and as the tide drops, I'll probably drop into the front of the creek there, and definitely anywhere from sort of Bayview Harbour all the way down to the bottom end of Paradise Point at the most northern tip. Give that a go. Beaches, the tailor bins, just so many tailor this week again. Guys swimming off the beach, guys getting off the sand pumping jetty, guys getting off the beach on pilchards. It's been everywhere on the spit. It's been happening down Mermaid's been really good. Narrowneck off and on, not too bad. There's been a lot of flatties on the beach during the day as well. A few dart. There's a bit of swell around, which the tailor like. So you have a lot of choices this weekend because the tide's really good, like I was saying. And with that bit of southerly or easterly tomorrow, would be probably the pick of the days for the fish bite, I think. But it actually shows a fairly good fish bite the whole weekend, this weekend, compared to last weekend was crap. Although it's still fish caught, but it wasn't as a good bite on the Alamac chart. That's probably about it for the estuary scene. And then for the freshwater scene, I spoke to a few guys that went out chasing the bass and the hens again. They did quite well. Again, they're schooled up, particularly between the boat ramp and the wall. Guys are definitely into these Koika jigs, which are made by Storm. They're part of the Gamoku range. That type of thing there, if you can see that, guys. Around that 30-40 gram size. Rip those hooks off. You can see those hooks that are on there. Rip those off and put on some little dress type hooks. There's a whole array of different brands and types and whatever. If you can see that. So they're dressed hooks, and they're smaller, they're finer braid, or not braid, it's actually like a spectra type material. And that's what you want to impale those bass. And you're jigging the schools with those jigs, like a very slow lift through the schools of the bass. They're really stacked up, and you just jig those schools. You can also put on little this type of thing here. That's going to really turn them on as well. Okay. And another new thing from Samaki in the freshwater critter scene, I reckon there's work on the floaties too, but they're a new thing called spider prawn. I reckon the bass will go bonkers on those come about another 2 months, or maybe even now, but when they get up on those grass flats and start to spread out again, that's the sort of thing I'll be using, weedless and a very small weight, maybe around that sort of 1/16 or 1/8 maybe at the most, and just slow winding across the weed beds, or just a little bit of a hop to it. But yeah, so give the bass a go. They're on. It's good. And if you want to go freshwater, that's what you do. The Hin's Dam is the spot to go. So give it a go, folks. It's great weather, great weekend, and we just had our floaty seminar on last night, and we have a fair bit of specials on floaty gear at the moment, which will run right through to the Floaty Classic, which is at the end of this month. Don't forget, you can just jump in here. We've got a little scanning QR code. You just scan it on the counter here, and that'll link you straight through to the Floaty Classic if you're interested in joining up this year. And this year it's run online, so it'll be a great comp. They'll probably get around about 140 to 180 teams still, I think. So around 500 anglers. So great prizes. They're giving away a boat and lots of other stuff. Fair bit bigger than they did last year, because the sponsors are really getting into it this year. Again, seeing it can't be done like the old days, but it's still done right. So it'll be great. So anyhow, see you next week, and enjoy the weekend. It's Dougie Burt from Doug Burt's Tackle World. Don't forget to jump on our YouTube page, and you can see lots and lots of things to learn, tutorials and whatever, on all types of fishing, on Doug Burt's fishing channel on YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe, tell your mates, and the written report for tonight will go out probably pretty late when I wake up sometime in the morning and do it. Anyhow, until then, see you later. Thank you. Doug Burt from Doug Burt's Tackle World. Bye.